Good morning, everybody. Happy September. Even though it's the 3rd of September. And interesting stuff coming along the wires here in Ohio. Our governor has now updated the executive orders regarding non-congregational shelters for those that may be asymptomatic or symptomatic testing positive for the COVID. And when you're asymptomatic testing positive for the COVID, how would you even have that category be put upon you? You would have to voluntarily give your DNA to some testing center that will have all of your information and then require you to be in quarantine. Yeah, I feel the atmosphere. The newly vaccinated, the test case that's in North Canton, definitely mutated the strain, and it's airborne. It only takes patient zero to go and infect a whole community. Now, I'm not saying that viruses are bad. No, it's basically an adaptation. It's a new environment that now the population must adapt to. And if you're not strong enough for this constant adaptation, yes, those antibodies will do a number on you. Your body's ability to adapt, your body's ability to pay, was it steal from Peter to pay Paul, will be taxed aggressively. Because if you're not doing the J juice, and let's say you're built like a brick shithouse, and there are a lot of guys here in Ohio that are built like a brick shithouse. They're like 200 pounds, full of muscle, heavy beards, like farm dudes, okay? Guys that throw steel, guys that are laborers, that really do manual labor for a living. And you would potentially survive each wave, but you'd be taken down a notch. So even if you don't get the vaccine and you've been exposed to someone that has received the vaccine, and then those antibodies, the mutations from those antibodies are airborne, you will pick it up and it will bind to your DNA, and then your body's going to have to deal with it. And so those with major predispositions will be dealing with an upgrade that they may not have enough of what it takes to upgrade. So even though you're not doing the Jilly Juice, and you're not getting the vaccine, you're exposed to an aggressive environment that's going to force you to try to upgrade. And some of you don't have what it takes. Some of you have major predispositions. And so right now, even with me on the J juice, now I'm going to feel every single nuance of an upgrade in my environment. I'm going to feel, and I feel it today. I know something's going on in the atmosphere. I can feel it. Okay? It's almost like every single system of my body is like an antenna, but it's not painful to me. I can feel it, but it's not like enormously painful. But I know my dog was sneezing the other day, like actually this morning, really early this morning, she was sneezing. Actually, it was last night she was sneezing. She just kept saying, like, Sugar, are you okay? She just kept sneezing. So I'm like, okay, I know what's going on. Her body's trying to get rid of something that's airborne. Okay? And it may not even just be airborne. It's also, even when you go to the grocery store, when you are around anyone that's been around anyone else. I mean, you can't stop viral evolution. You can't stop it. There's no way, even a mask is not going to stop it. Maybe it might slow down a little bit if somebody is very sick and they have all these antibodies being released, and if they sneeze in their mask, obviously the mask is going to kind of stop the transmission, but it's not going to really matter at this point. Everyone's going to have to adapt to the environment. You're just delaying the inevitable by wearing masks. You're delaying the inevitable by doing the social distancing. That's really more of a control factor on the government's part. And now they're doing these non-congregational type of FEMA quarantine camps for those that are asymptomatic, which totally galls me that someone would volunteer for a COVID test to only then be put in quarantine for 14 days. That I don't understand. And then for those that are also very sick. And so, yeah, the universities are going to be doing that. I mean, you look at every single website for these universities, whether it's Ohio State, whether it's Rice University, or any other major university or minor university where they have dorms on campus. Yeah, the dorms will be used. Well, it may not be used as a quarantine place, they may be using vacant buildings in where, who knows where you are going to have to be quarantined for 14 days. I don't know how security is. Someone wrote in one of my local groups that, yeah, a person was a student and was living with some friends and family, and they had a high risk person in their household, so they couldn't go back to that household because it wasn't her house, and she was put in some faraway facility that she had no idea where she was. Though, yeah, granted, she had 105 temperature, so she really, wasn't going to enjoy the place. But yeah, if you have 105 temperature, she doesn't remember if she's seen a doctor, where the person didn't press her for the information. But I'm going to say this, when you are running a major fever and you're in quarantine somewhere far off away, the only thing, no antibiotics are going to help you, because antibiotics would just take you down another notch, okay? You're going to have to let that virus ride out, because that's what they say. You don't kill a virus unless you're killing the tissue, because viruses need a host. So any kind of viral infection, you have to let it run its course. And when a virus runs its course, some people don't survive it because they don't have what it takes. They don't have the nutrients. They don't have anything that is going to help them. And so this is why it's so important to understand Jilly Juice, because it'll help you rebuild at the micro level. You'll be able to handle the aggressive environment, and you will be releasing the excess antibodies that are going to do a number. Now, these antibodies, yes, are viral proteins that may have been bonded by chemistry, different viral proteins. I mean, they already told you this is called a SARS-CoV-2, right? SARS-CoV and then H1, nuances of H1N1. So you're getting viruses that have been bonded by chemistry, spliced and diced and then put together and have a new strain. And so it's going to upgrade. Right now in my group, I said, hey, I feel an evolution. And I do. I feel an evolution on my left side. And so other people have been feeling the same thing. So some of these viruses do have specific intentions that do target specific parts of your body. I mean, that's where you get the different cancers. Cancer is a virus trying to upgrade different parts of your body, and that's why there's different named cancers like ovarian cancer, breast cancer, brain cancer, bone cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer, blood cancer. I mean, all these different cancers are basically viral proteins trying to upgrade, and of course you don't have what it takes to upgrade, and so the body is then stealing from Peter, Pan, and Paul, and the virus is now trying to upgrade a body that doesn't have all its faculties, and so that's why you get misfiring, biochemical imbalances, and then weird behaviors and weird proclivities, okay? And so, yeah, we are essentially, if I wanted to go biblical, we are in the end times. Many of us have been warned stuff is going on. Many of you don't want to change your lifestyle, don't want to believe that there is an underbelly to our society that is intentional, not just something that happens naturally or that is just a byproduct. I mean, there is an intention to our society when you're seeing the different Hollywood stars always reproducing, having children, and then they're teaching everyone in the population, well, you should have children, you should reproduce. And when you have so much reproduction, anomalies are going to happen. And then the child trafficking, the pedophilia, all of these different weird behaviors that come from constant reproduction. And so why it's so important that you reproduce the cells within your body is because you have control over the body, mind, and spirit alignment. And when you are reproducing at the micro level and you're staying alive, you're actually keeping your hormones very well balanced so they don't manifest deviant type of behaviors like criminal behavior and weird proclivities. And so we've been living in a world where death and reproduction are basically what runs our society. And so at the macro level, not even at the micro level, because they're destroying you at the micro level, and then you are reproducing at the macro level, and this is what is causing all the different anomalies. So what if, when we are tapping into indefinite life, that you are reproducing at the micro level with your own cells, and then you are keeping your hormones balanced and healing simultaneously, and then you're not affecting other people in an adverse way. And that's what's going on right now with all of these different criminal activities and pedophiles and things of that nature, is that when people are not reproducing or regenerating at the micro level, but they're doing it at the macro level, it's then causing deviant behavior. So, and that's why you really can't stop people from having a belief system. You can't go and fight for your rights, because your right to live is within a very, very simple recipe that you have access to. But most don't want to face their demons. And so they think that the fight is out there, and then all they're doing is giving energy to whoever is the architect of all of this chaos. And so, you know, why Jilly Juice exists, because it is that balancing force against that death and reproduction at the macro level. Because there's got to be. I mean, at this point, what other hope do you have at this point? Look at your future. I mean, when you're seeing people on lockdown, there really is no future for many of you, because what is there to look forward to? Okay? I mean, all what you thought you knew, you know, going to university and being this great cannon fodder for the state is to be no more. They already have all the inventions. They already have the transhumanism. They already have the people they want in place. They already figured out how to guide reproduction carefully. They already have their own birthing centers to create their own minions for their agenda. All of you in these different communities that are not part of the overall, not part of the architects, are just, like, I would say, useless eaters. So how would you determine your worth? It's your production. Because I'm looking at even my community. When people are working in my community, they're working for people that live in the community. They're not working for an overall bigger agenda. They're just serving people in their community, which is it's honorable thing. But it's like, it's more energy to serve people who aren't really giving a shit about the future. It's like, why, like, you know, we have these garbage men, and they're picking up garbage of people who are just kind of like, you know, not caring about their bodies, not caring about their future, criminals, not really understanding the bigger picture. So all they are is just, they're taking up space. And so that's what the elite have figured out, is if they cut down on the predominant amount of the population who don't care about themselves or their children, who don't care about their future, who are just taking up space, useless eaters, and contributing to the chaos in society, it would make the world better. But they've created it, but now they're trying to take it away. And we are still conscious beings, okay? Even those that are useless eaters, and that would include me on some level, until I figured out a way to help all of you who are useless eaters. So that way you find some kind of worth for the future, that you are contributing to the peace and the harmony. And even though there is draconian things being done out there, you realize there is a separation between what you're able to control and what is really out of your control. And those that think that taking to the streets and creating ruckus and not taking care of their body, mind, and spirit is a way to control, then you're going to have more of the resistance from the other side. Okay? And so, and who has the one that has the most toys, the most weapons are going to win. Okay? And so that's why it's imperative that you understand the battle is within. Okay? The battle's within. Try to be as independent from the system as you can, aside from the main infrastructure. Like, you want to maintain a little bit of law and order, even though there really isn't much at this point. You want to maintain the water. You want to maintain some of the food supply as much as you can, but even the food that you grow is not going to be enough. You still need animal meat. You still need an animal fat. You still need a diverse food supply. So you still need your community. But try not to depend upon the medical holistic system. Really, you know, obviously if you get into a car accident, you'll use your medical payments on your car insurance to get you to triage, get you stabilized, and then go home and you heal, and it's going to be fucking painful. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. If you've been in a car accident and you've been to triage and you had several operations and maybe you had some kind of implant, okay, fine. You go home, you do the jade juice, you heal, make that determination whether or not you want to take that implant out if it's necessary. and then you heal and it will be painful. But that's the thing. That's what you want to rely on society for, is not so much to always be a reactionary to everything. It's to where it's like, it's at like, it be the very last, what is it, last resort that you would depend upon your government, depend upon the medical holistic. I wouldn't even depend upon the holistic at all, but that would be your last resort. Okay? If you're taking proactive precautions with protecting your body, mind, and spirit, and your child's body, mind, and spirit, and your dog's body, mind, and spirit, because you know you can't control your husband or any of your else of your family and friends, but if you can control the things within you and with your child and with your dog and anyone that's dependent upon you, then you're going to be fine. You're going to have peace despite all the crap out there. Yeah, I mean, feeling a little bit of which I don't really feel that much anymore, actually. Interesting. Maybe the adrenaline from drinking coffee and talking has helped alleviate and activate my prostaglandins to then heal whatever it is that I'm going through. But yeah, I mean, even me just doing all of this, I don't know. I just lost the train of thought there. But yeah, but really just be independent. Be independent from the system. Okay? Find a way to contribute to your community. Find a way to show people that they don't have to depend upon the holistic and the medical, that they don't have to take to the streets. Yeah, it's going to be even more draconian, but there are still rules with the Freemasons. There are still rules that they go by with even our government. Okay, they're going to make it hard for you to be independent. But when you have a child, you basically are giving yourself to the system, because that child is now going to be used as a way to control your movements and your child's future. And so it's going to be a battle between you as a parent and the state as far as how your child's going to be raised at the biochemical level and then at the educational level. Because I mean, I'm already seeing stuff on the internet that they are introducing some pretty inappropriate stuff regarding the body and sexuality to very young kids. Okay? And I was taught that you should learn about your body and learn about these things and sex and whatever at a very young age. So the mystery is not there anymore. So you're not wanting to go and have sex and procreate and get babies. And that was what I was raised with, was the fact that if they introduce how to make a baby at a very early age, it would contribute to some type of birth control. But there's something wrong with that thought process, because now with the way they're manipulating people's reproductive systems and their biochemistry, it's actually causing more deviant behavior in people who have been introduced to procreation at an early age. So if you're lucky enough that you've been introduced to procreation at an early age and don't exhibit any deviant characteristics, you're very lucky, and you're not one of those that are contributing to the pain and misery of other people. But there are people that have been taught things at an early age and have major hormonal imbalances, and they're acting them out, and they're the ones that now we are seeing that's coming to surface as far as the pedophile networks. And right now, I mean, even in my town, there is a group that is all exposing anyone that's a sex offender. Okay? People that I know that have people that are sex offenders have disappeared off my Facebook because they know that that they're a target. And so this is why it's so important to really recalibrate your body, mind, and spirit, because the state and the intentions of the state and your government are going to try to mold your child and try to mold you in a way. Some of you are accepting and are going to be compliant to that, and that's your own choice. But some of us want to resist that. We don't want to have that future for our children as well as for ourselves. And this is where it's important that a parent who really is awake and really does care about their kid, they're going to teach them two different ways to relate to people in our society. One is they have to understand how the state wants people to think, and you're going to have to be able to cater to both sides, because that's how you're going to have to get along when you have the state in your business 24/7, and then you teach your kid the other way as they get older, And so the child will learn two different realities if the parent is that smart enough to know how to offer a different thought process as the child is growing up. And that's going to take some awareness of that parent to know what is being taught, what is the actual future goals, and then what you want your kid to have a choice in, because every child should have a choice. Some people don't know they have a choice, and so they feel that this is their only choice, this is their only way to be, and these are the cards that were dealt to them. And then that can be very depressing if you don't have any hope for your future, if you think that's your only way. And that's what I dealt with too for a long time with my PMDD. I wasn't going to go on any prescription drugs. I wasn't going to do anything that was going to, because I tried to do I went to, I think, Kaiser one time to deal with my PMDD, and they prescribed me Prozac and then weekly counseling. And I think I did Prozac for maybe a month, and I felt like a zombie. I felt completely devoid of any kind of emotion, and that's not how I want to live my life. And so I said I would rather go through the major fluctuations per month and know that I have 2 weeks of pure bliss, and then I'll have 2 weeks of like, holy crap. And that was my life, was I was living pretty much 2 weeks out of the month, and then I was dying 2 weeks out of the month. But that was far better than being programmed by the hospitals, being programmed by Big Pharma, being programmed by the state to be a total zombie devoid of any kind of emotion, anesthetizing. I really wanted to feel, and I really took some kind of joy, even though it really wasn't, in just being alone for 2 weeks, eating a bunch of food, watching all my movies, and being like, oh, life freaking sucks, and then sleeping for days. I knew that was going to happen, so I had to find a way to relate to it and just, I guess, accept it. But that's misery. Who wants to live 2 weeks out of the month? And then when you try to work at a job or try to have relationships that need to be consistent, how can you really sustain anything long term when your emotions are going from like 0 to 60 at any given moment during those 2 weeks? So that's what came out of the Jilly Juice, was the fact that at some point I really wanted to even my hormones out. And I had to go through a journey, like all of you. You're going to have to go through a journey. You're going to have to realize that the power is within, that there are specific rules and games that you must learn how to play on Facebook as well as out there. And if you don't know how the game is played, then someone's going to beat you at the game. No different than playing Monopoly. If you don't know the strategy of Monopoly is buying properties and being a landlord, then you're going to always be paying someone every single time you land on a property. You'll have no more money left, right? That's exactly the same thing out there with what's going on with this COVID, what's going on Facebook, how you want to express yourself. It's learning how to speak in neutral tenses. You can't stop people's belief systems and stop their biochemical belief systems. And that's how the state has been able to legalize certain things. Not so much black and white as you think, but there are certain nuances that will give more allowances for those that have different biochemistries. And some of you don't agree with it, and I get it. I don't either, but it's not my place to denigrate somebody else. No, I will not allow anyone in my world to, I won't condone these behaviors out there. Believe me, I don't condone it, because I was a victim of it too myself. But it's not my place to go and be a vigilante. It's nice to know how prevalent it is, so that way you now are more aware on who it is you interact with. And then if you are around children and there are people that are around your friends' children, they're aware of who it is they bring their children around. So we must know who it is in our society. We must know how our society works, and watch out and be aware, and don't put your kid or you in a position that you're going to regret. And that's really the premise of J-Juice, is to be proactive in your ability to see things before it becomes a problem, and head it off in a different direction before it becomes something way out of your control where there is no return, because you can't always get someone to heal and get back to where they were before, prior to whatever. So you don't want to be in a situation where there is no point of no return. You want to be able to head things off before it becomes a problem. You don't want to end up in hospice. That's why Jelly Juice exists. So that way you don't end up in hospice where you're not going to be able to pull yourself out of the grave. Okay? This is about proactivity. Jelly juice is all about proactivity, understanding the the difference between prostaglandins and antibiotic or antibodies, and understand that you do have a choice. But you're going to have to go through some fire to get to where you want to go, because you eventually are going to have to deal with the demons you've been suppressing. And those are the antibodies. And then the antibodies come into your body, they cause a ruckus. And when they leave your body, they cause a ruckus. So that's why you have to get rid of all these antibodies that are in your body and all the different biochemistries that are imbalanced. And then eventually when you do come upon antibodies or things that your body doesn't recognize, it'll be easy to take them on and it'll be easy to release them. And it's not going to be a major thing. So in the beginning, for anyone that does J juice, yeah, you'll be releasing antibodies, and you will also be recalibrating and filling the prostaglandin hormones, which will aid in the healing process. And yes, you're going to feel pain, because that means you're alive. Pain means you're alive. Do you realize that when you are promoting immunity, you're promoting death in your body? That's what they've been basically teaching you in plain sight. Yes, promote immunity, immunity, immunity. It's all about immunity. Oh, it's all about death. They might as well say it's all about death. If you say, hey, it's all about pain, that means it's all about life. But do you want to be in constant pain your whole life? No, that isn't even optimal either. Okay? Pain is like a lesson, but it's letting you know that you're alive. But it's also saying, hey, if you want to not deal with chronic pain, you need to change your biochemistry. You need to face your demons. So simply not getting a vaccine is not going to help most of you, if not all of you, that are not doing J juice. Because those antibodies are airborne, they are being shed, they are being mutated by those that have predispositions. Not everyone's wearing a mask, not that the masks are going to help, but this is where then the system is going to justify more draconian measures and lockdown, because of the fact that they can blame the anti-vaxxers, they can blame the people that don't wear masks, and they can blame those that don't want to social distance. And so when you have that dichotomy, and you have that contrast, then you have to rise above both those specific thought processes and not even take part in those sides. If you take a side, you've already lost. Now you have to rise above and take care of your body, mind, and spirit, and your child, if you can, and your animal. And sometimes it might be too late for your animal if your animal is on like death's door and now you're trying to do jelly juice and they're like a small little dog, you know. Bigger dogs might have more of a chance with the J juice because they have a lot more to them, even at the 11th hour, but they're going to go through some hell as they are upgrading. But yeah, when you have a small person, like a person who's like 80 pounds and they're like in hospice and you try to give them the J juice, you could do it, but they would have to have so much nutrition around the clock, 24/7, and they would be in pain. They would have to get up and release the excess. They would have to feel the pain of the body regenerating. I mean, for anyone that's like 80 pounds, 70 pounds in hospice trying to do J juice, yeah, they would give up because it would be too much. They would need to have around the clock care to help them through that process. So you don't want to end up in that position, you guys, okay? You don't want to do the J juice at the 11th hour when you're in hospice or you're at stage 10 cancer and you're now like, okay, now I'll do the J juice, and you're like pulling yourself out of the grave. That's not the optimal time to do J juice, especially in this environment, especially with the people around you that are so scared, especially with the contact tracers. And if they see that you're sick and you're doing the J juice, but you're sick because you're bringing everything out to surface, and then someone ultimately tests positive for COVID and the contact tracers find you and they want to test you, and now they find, oh yeah, you're positive for COVID because you're gonna be, then they take you out of your house, away from the jelly juice, into a quarantine facility to where now you won't have any possibility of regenerating and releasing. You'll be left to die in a quarantine facility. That is not your intention. That's why you need to do the J juice before you get that bad. Because eventually the system is going to sniff you guys out and they're going to separate you and you'll be left to your own devices. And if you don't have the J juice around you to support you, you're done. Because those antibodies will do a number on you. That's why I've been focusing on antibodies almost every single day. Because that's what you're up against. It's the antibody agglutination, the antibody accumulation. And it's what's in the vaccines, it's what's in the therapeutics, it's what's being released by those that are communicable, those that are testing positive. Okay? You can't get away from the antibodies, but you can find a way to counter them, release the excess, and adapt to that new environment. But if you don't understand that, you have no chance. You'll just be going down with the system. Some of you are built like brick shit houses, so you'll handle each wave, but you'll be taken down a notch every single time. And some of you are basically, you have so many predispositions that you won't be able to handle this next wave. And you're going to see it around you. It's already happening to your friends and family. So, good luck to all of you. I am going to be writing my book today, or, just taking stabs at it. And, yeah, day by day. You guys have a great day. Bye.